Hello and welcome to Foodocracy for Her. I'm your host, Kalyan Karmakar. Foodocracy for Her is a podcast dedicated to women in the Indian food and beverage industry and people who are doing some amazing work. And today I'm bringing to you Bunty Mahajan, who is one of the pioneer premium confectioners from Mumbai, who's now extending her footprint across the country, already moved to Bangalore. And she's actually someone who's just completed 20 years for her brand Deliciae, but she's been baking for 50 years. And without waiting for that long, let's just go and listen to her story. So, in a second, folks, Bunty Mahajan. Well, here's Bunty, and welcome. So lovely to have you on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
And
look
it's
forward to this.
it's times of the year when people will remember you a lot because we are getting into Christmas, New Year. It's like cake season, but I believe we have some occasion for some cake cutting as well, and which happened. So you've completed 20 years of your brand, Delicia.
Yeah,
That's
20 long
that's
years. Yeah.
yeah, that really says
Yeah,
something. And also you've been baking for 50 years. If you
yeah,
started,
absolutely. Absolutely. I was in college when I was baking, and
uh,
it was just my passion. I just was doing it for my mom at home, kitty parties or do make something for me. It just started like that. And
so-
she was really instrumental, and she must have seen my potential. She
yeah.
said, join all kinds of classes and just to push me, go and do this, go and do that. And I was interested in it, so it wasn't much of a, like she didn't have to push that much, but I was interested in it always.
But
Yeah.
what were you at that point? You were not studying anything to do like in college. What were you?
Yeah, my BA, BA. Where
Okay,
was there for me this thing for girls to go abroad, or if I
yeah,
wanted to pursue it and go abroad, there was never that thing that girls can go out and do something other than BA.
and
So
you're a Bombay girl.
I'm a Calcutta girl.
Oh, you're a Calcutta girl. I'm a Calcutta boy.
Yeah, okay.
So whereabouts in Calcutta did you grow up?
Loudon Street, Loudon
Okay,
Street of
okay.
Park Street.
So are you a Loreto girl by any chance?
Loreto. Yeah, I just went for my 53rd year reunion, Loreto College.
Oh,
I
oh,
just
nice. In fact, I was in Calcutta in November. Just went to catch up with my mom, grandmom. Shot a bit over there, filmed a bit, and so
okay.
all this happened when you were in Calcutta.
What? Yeah, yeah, in Calcutta.
Ah,
Absolutely. I
okay,
started there. Then
yeah,
after during college also, then I used to do it for my friends and for their nieces because nobody was married. So
yeah,
their nieces and nephews, their birthday cakes, some very elementary stuff.
yeah.
Of course, then after coming to Bombay after marriage, then my husband was another person who was really, pushing me, ki you can do it, used to watch me, very passionate about all kinds of cakes,
Hmm,
always reading up about them.
hmm.
And so he was a big support and sort of encouraged me to yeah, pursue this. So
And
that's how it all started.
so that was about, if I'm doing the math right, about 30 years after you first started
Oh,
baking in college.
1994, something like
Yeah.
that. I started doing from the house, basically. I
Okay.
was applying to clubs and to some
Yeah.
restaurants
Yeah.
and doing some individual parties and stuff like that. So never
And
not a formal kind of a thing, but from the house. Kids were small.
so this is before Delicia.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
before
this is
this.
before
Yeah.
before the launch of the brand.
Yes, I
And
was always
and
interested in having a patisserie. I used to dream about it. Never thought it would happen, but
yeah,
it was always in my mind. Yeah, sure, sure.
yeah. So what were the sort of cakes which you were baking? And was it cakes entirely
Before
or no, at that point when you started off?
I started off, no, I started off with, things like very simple things like a chocolate mousse or supplying to Willingdon Club in Bombay and to
Okay.
WI Club. So it started basically from that. Chocolate mousse actually was my first thing that I ever made.
It's a classic, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's something which we all go for. Now,
yeah.
tell me this, your first brush with professional baking, for the Willingdon Club and so on. So was that like a very different experience from what you were doing earlier? Because earlier it was more like unstructured and, you
Yeah,
know, yeah.
nothing really like that, I would say. It was just that they wanted these very basic things for the club. You know how the thing is, they
Hmm,
don't care too much about the look or anything like that. So it was
hmm,
basically that. But
hmm,
then eventually, when I started making cakes for people professionally, like when I started charging them, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah,
That's the time then I, tried to learn, do some classes and try to improve my, the finishing and all that. So it was just started like as, I mean, like, how do I tell you? It was like learning from books. Books were, there was hardly any internet,
yeah, yeah,
this times it was
yeah,
just from recipe books and just from that.
yeah.
So,
I mean, people watching now will find it very hard to imagine, but
uh,
back then, like, first of all, it's not that we had access to books. Books would have been very, very expensive, and I don't think there were much, culinary baking books which would come in. There would only be a few magazines, maybe Femina,
right,
Savvy with, a recipe. There
good
were
housekeeping and
no, no
those kind of
blogs.
books.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We got married in 2001, and we started cooking at that time, my wife and I. So
yeah,
that's when the initial, they were not even blogs. We would like download internet sites, take
yeah,
printouts at office, get it home, then
right,
read them, or
right.
buy those Nita Mehta books and all of that. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very elementary.
yeah, but
So,
what's interesting is that now over the past few years, there's this phenomena of home chefs and home bakers. But what I feel is that while it's great as being celebrated now, it's always been there, but it's now that it's come into the limelight, and I think that it's great because it's just showing that there's so much opportunity to do things from home, and your journey is even more exemplary because you started from home, and it's also a 20-year journey, so it just shows that okay, you're not in it for one's not in it for 2 weeks, 2 months, or even 2 years. It's
yes.
like it's things happen. So I want to get some thoughts from you, which might encourage people who are like home chefs, home bakers like you, who are interested, maybe cooking or baking stuff which they know people like, but they're worried to take this step into getting into a professional thing. So with your years of experience and you've been seeing other people, what do you
Yeah.
think works?
I think, what works is that you have to keep learning. You have to
Hmm.
be open to learning. Till today, I do that. If there's a workshop, I'm there. And every workshop teaches you something. Any class, it may be the very elementary class, but you still pick up something. And I'd also can share that I joined, in the Loreto College. They used to have a extracurricular where there was baking,
Okay.
and so I joined there also.
In
So
college?
in college, yeah. So
Okay.
and that teacher. I was just talking to my husband yesterday. I said that teacher told me certain things that I remember till today. I have
Wow.
not forgotten, those kind of measures, how you measure, which is measuring is a very, very sort of
Yes,
important part. So
absolutely.
he said, never make a cake without measuring. So till today, I don't do that. And I have her measures. I follow her this thing. I still remember her face because she was so, and very simply she used to teach. Nothing complicated.
Wow.
Today, everything is
Wow.
complicated.
So
Yeah,
in
but
a way, like she was the one who started off your
she really, yeah, she did.
baking, and you
She
still remember her.
I remember her because I still follow what she is. I have her book from 50 years. Even now, I
Wow.
have a recipe book. Yeah.
Wow. But which also tells us one that, there are certain things which are, classic. I mean, you see a lot of things happening around, and maybe like the technique or the tools or the things change, but the basics always remain
The
the
basics remain.
same
And if you
and
follow
need to
that,
be strengthened. Yeah.
you have to follow that. If somebody asks me for a recipe of a sponge cake, for instance,
Hmm.
top of my head, I know what she used to say. And
Hmm.
I will rattle it off. And, I don't even
Hmm.
have, because I'm using it even now.
Did you
So,
ever meet her later?
no, I didn't meet her later. Yeah,
Uh,
but I remember
yeah.
her a lot because she was really, for the foundation, for the base, she was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And also things are different. Like, it's difficult sometimes to, like, few years back, I connected with some of my college teachers again, or school teachers because of social media. But yeah, so I believe that in fact your husband put in the seed capital to sort of start off the business.
Yeah.
And
Yes, he did.
is this when the transition happened towards Delicia?
Yes, and that's when, I got the opportunity from out of the blue. Mr. Arjun Bajaj is the
Hmm.
owner,
Yeah.
and I started supplying desserts to his restaurant. So
Yeah.
from Then he got an idea. He says, I have space. I have to set up a dessert cafe. Why don't you do it? I
Hmm.
said, I've never done something like this. I don't think I can do it. He says, no, no, I'm supporting you now. What's the problem? So it was this huge counter which we had to fill up every day.
I
And just, in
remember.
fact, yeah, in fact, 2 days before the I was to start, I told him, listen, I can't do it. I don't think I can do it because I've never done something like this. He says,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
there. Don't worry, I'm there. You
yeah.
just go for it. And
Wow.
that's how I jumped into it. And, doing a cafe, a sit down with plated desserts and the works. It was
I
totally new to me.
I
Yeah.
remember that because we've been like patrons of Out of the Blue right from the beginning. It's
Yeah.
again like a classic brand, and not just Bandra, the locality where we all live, but at that time, I mean, it was quite top of the line and ahead of its time
I
in
did very
Mumbai.
good.
And I remember when the Delicia sort of thing was also set up, because if I remember right, when you enter Out of the Blue, there's this like longish passage,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they set it up over there. And if I'm not getting mistaken, confusing with Olive, there were like these benches and stones
Yeah.
and
There was this on the side. Yeah. There were
yeah,
30 seats. Yeah.
and on Sunday during brunch, there'll be all these events like sketching, painting.
Yes. Yes. The
So
painter.
actually, in a way, I mean, you entered, and the first thing you came across was Delicia. So
Yeah.
that, in a way, it's great, because I was just thinking that how people can make a difference to one's life. I mean, the teacher back then, of course, support within the family, and it's sometimes easy to sort of wipe that aside. But the fact is that getting support, I mean, I know it because it's thanks to my wife Kenha's support that I can sort of follow my dream of being a food writer and everything, uh,
Right.
while she slogs in advertising. and
Right.
and then of course Mr. Bajaj. I think that such people are really sort of
He was very helpful, and he was
they completed
advocating.
25 years, right?
Who?
Out of the Blue also did 25
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were there before
It's
we. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I remember that they were there and then you guys opened. So I'm
Yeah.
saying 20 years, 25 years, 50 years, a lot of
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
it's a
like a
long time.
bacha.
Yeah, to
I did
sustain, it's a long time. So,
yeah,
and
yeah,
luckily we had a very good experience there.
yeah. And how
Yeah,
many years was that?
12 years. We were
Wow.
there 12 years. Yeah.
So how was that experience? Because again, it was a bit ahead of its time in a good
It was
way,
the only
because
dessert cafe
there were
at that
no
time. Yeah.
desert cafes of that. I mean, the baristas and all of that had just started coming in, but those are like
It was the
pre-made
first,
things, and the
first of
focus
its
was
kind.
on coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had savories also at that time.
Huh.
And we had coffees and shakes, the works.
And you were running the whole thing,
Yes,
like
we were.
from the barista to
Yeah. Yeah.
everything.
Everything we
Yeah.
were. Yeah.
And how was that experience of like retail, and
It
I'm sure
was
you would have been in the
challenging. It
store.
was very
Yeah.
challenging because since I had not done it before, but then eventually we got into the groove of it and then taught all the people how to do the plating because all the desserts were served plated.
Yeah.
Yeah, takeaway
But
was one.
but your audience also, your customers, unlike now, for them also it was a very new concept.
Yeah, it was a
So
very
how so it works both ways, because I think that now today's customers might feel that they know everything because there's Instagram
yeah,
and all that.
yeah,
So there's a pressure there where a customer thinks that they know everything and
right.
this thing. And then there was a customer back then who didn't know things, and you've actually
Absolutely,
gone through the entire spectrum. So
absolutely.
how's been how was it back then and how's it now?
People used to love it, when they came and they were served like that. We were actually both my husband and me, we were very, this thing about the tea pots have to be correct. And
Yeah.
the coffee press has to be correct. The
Uh,
ingredients have to be perfect. The best tea, we used to
yeah.
serve the best tea at that time and the coffees were very carefully chosen. All that, we put in a lot of effort in that to
Yeah.
make it, the whole experience to be good. It was not only the desserts, it was the entire experience. And of course, there were some classics which really went
The Death
viral
by
at that.
Chocolate.
Yeah, people even ask me now, that how come, where's your death by chocolate? I say, bring it on, take it off, bring it on. It's still there. It's not going
I
anywhere.
remember it's something we used to order when we go to Out of the Blue, and especially
Yeah,
after dinner. We
yeah.
always be a toss up between, and sometimes it'd be both, because in
Uh,
the restaurant they had the chocolate fondue. So
Yeah,
when
I
it,
know.
it was like fun to sort of try it out back then.
Yeah,
It was fondues itself were new. So
yeah,
it was 12 years, right, over there,
yeah.
and then you moved on.
Then
Uh,
we moved to this flagship store on Khardanda, the first one.
yeah. So what were the learnings you took out of those 12 years? I think, at the end of it, like, and,
Uh,
and and I'm also interested because this was your first brush with retail
yeah.
from, a home baker. And I know that a lot of home chefs today have these dreams of setting up restaurants, retail fronts, and so on. And I meet so many of them, and they always are very hesitant. They don't know what to expect.
So retail is difficult, and we had that. We used to have a lot of leftovers, and but I had kept a policy of nothing is going to be kept for 2 day over 2 days.
Hmm.
So managing that was challenging, and there was a lot of wastage initially, but then we got the hang of it, and slowly this wastage is
Hmm.
reduced. And then when we moved to the Khardanda store, the flagship store, there we tried to do our desserts in a little different way. We
Hmm.
made smaller portions because in out of the blue our portions were huge because
Yeah.
we used to travel to the US and used to see their portions.
Oh my
So
God.
I was inspired with that. And then, we had
Yeah.
these huge tall cakes and with big
Yeah.
pieces, which
Yeah.
not one person could eat.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
we moved on to doing single, smaller portions.
We
Those
were
did,
more European in a sense. I mean,
yeah.
European portions are not that massive.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
that was good actually. That took off quite well.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's always a challenge, I think, retail. That is
Yeah.
why then when we sort of shifted our focus to from retail only to online, and which was a big change.
That's a Bombay cakery, right?
No, that's the Deliciae only.
Okay. Yeah.
Deliciae,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
a flagship store in Pali Hill. So
Yeah. I know.
and yeah, so
I
that
remember ordering a cake from there for my wife's birthday, and in fact, we were at that point in a staycation, I think at the Taj, and
I see.
and through Swiggy or Zomato, we just ordered. It took, and they showed 45 minutes from Bandra to town, and then I remember sometime back recently, some friends of ours had ordered and sent pastries home,
Yeah.
and so I think online makes a big,
Oh,
but
it's made
online
a
comes with
huge
its own
difference.
challenges, right? Especially for pastry and this thing, because they're so fragile in a sense. Like, if it upturns, then the
Oh,
icing, you
we
know,
have taken a lot of care on that. We have, in fact,
and temperature in Bombay.
sort of minimize the time taken to deliver and all that. We have set up so many kitchens all across Bombay. We have
Yeah.
11 kitchens now, so it is servicing all the areas. So within 20 minutes, your stuff is there. It is made fresh. It is made to order. Only when the order comes in, it's prepared and then it's ready and to deliver. So it's really quick. It's shortened that time a lot. So that there's not much damages or anything, and
So
it reaches.
yeah, no, that's what I've seen. I mean, it's never really been issue. Now, was there any sort of stumbling block or obstacle which you came across overall in running the business, which took you a bit of time to this thing, or some challenges which you?
Yeah,
Uh,
we did, try a little shop in shop and these kind of things.
how did
They
that work?
were very challenging, but are not giving you enough profit. They were difficult to manage and keep on top of it, and not really worth it. So that's why we shifted our focus to, instead of only retail, then on online and all these Swiggy, Zomato, and all that, which is really, and people are getting the fresh product. That's a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
important thing that they're getting it fresh. We're not keeping anything, not storing anything. So
hmm,
everything is made only when the order is placed
yeah,
and delivered immediately. And also because they are sort of already set,
hmm,
cold, so they
hmm.
don't get damaged in the process.
And also, I think one thing which I learned from what you just said is that you might come in with a certain plan, but at some point you need to take a hard business call, like you did in the case of the shop
Yes,
and shop, that okay, this is not working, so let me try something else, which you did in the case of the online,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that took. I mean, I'm just going to come into some of the more um, sort of pacey, glamorous work which you've done, but before that, I must tell you that our friend Manoj on his wife's maybe 40th at that time. So he'd ordered this cake, you know, and at that time we were still not that familiar with the term fondant, forget for fondant cakes, which is I think
Yeah.
what they're called, which was
Ah.
like a green purse sort of handbag. And
Ah.
the fact that, you know, so Manoj has got this little wacky sense of humor. So his wife,
Ah.
Anu, loves to shop. And this was his little, you know, understated jibe. So there was this, like, I remember this green, very elegant, like a Armani or Coach or whatever sort of purse with little, like, gold,
Yeah, yeah, we do a lot of those, and they are.
yeah, and everyone had a good laugh. And the beautiful thing was that it was also very tasty because sometimes you wonder whether fondant cakes are not always that, you know, because focus is on the look. Sometimes in hotels and all that, they've
Yeah,
put fondants in the room and stuff, and it's like, you know, but it
yeah.
was very
But
tasty.
for me, the taste is equally important. So I've always focused on that. That the look is, of course, you see it, but the taste is what brings people back.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that that's what, you know, because you get introduced to something in a situation like that. For example, we were, then you know that, okay, this is the taste, because you might not be looking at a handbag
yeah,
always. Sometimes it's just, you know, using a GPay and buying it, but
yeah.
including a good cake. Now, tell me, you've been doing some, you know, like Rohit Sharma's babies,
We're doing
I
it
think
every
five
year.
birthdays, the Ambani weddings, had your
Yeah.
cakes. I mean, I'm sure your cakes will have many stories to tell.
Yeah.
Like you
Their
have a
cakes
fly
have
on the
taken us
wall
a lot of
concept, so cake
places.
on the table concept.
They've taken us to a lot of places actually, our cakes. So
But
yeah, because I
how's
think
that? Because there it'll be like this, you'll be probably on the edge, right? In terms of
of
pressure and
course
all of that.
there is pressure, but then I'm confident that we can produce that.
Huh.
So I take extra care. Obviously, that time you do take. I do it with every cake actually,
Yeah.
but with the cakes which are very elaborate, and it's only not about making them; it's about transporting them and having them set up, and then
Yeah.
having no issues with them there. So we've done large cakes for them, very large, even up to 9 tiers, and things like
9 tiers, my God. I mean,
that.
one seen wedding cakes of 3 tiers, 4 tiers, but 9 tiers? Can you tell
Nine
us a bit about that cake, 9 tier cake?
9 years we've done for one of the engagements, and it was to be taken in three parts. Actually, it was huge,
Wow.
weight wise also, and then didn't want any damage to be done, because anyway, when you're setting up, you can damage a little bit.
Yes,
Then you
yes.
carry all your stuff which you
Hmm.
can touch up and all that.
Yeah. So
And
it's almost like a painter paints and then does the
so we
interior
actually
designer. You're
set
a
it
cake.
up over there. Yeah, we set it
Uh,
up over there, and yeah, it was a big challenge, because you're always wondering, "Ki it should stay up." That in spite of taking all the precautions and doing all your sort of research on how this is going to work,
yeah.
you're still always on tenterhook. Still, it's all set up and ready. Yeah.
So tell me, I'm very interested about someone who used to make chocolate mousse, probably in a tub to supply to the club, you know, at the which probably goes with their buffets, and you know everyone will take it out, and that was a different sort of joy.
Yeah.
There would always be this chocolate mousse. Then there would be this baked salmon. Then you know there are these standard dishes which is there in a club dinner, and
Yeah.
of course the Russian salad and whatnot. So from there, where the chocolate mousse would be maybe in one baking tray, to a 9 tier cake. So if you were to sort of do a look at a bird's eye sort of view, I mean, tell me a bit about how did this progression happen? Because you know at this point, you might think that, okay, like, ho gaya, but sometimes you need someone else to sort of give you that perspective that, hey, that's how you started and this is how you are. And
I'm totally aware of how I started. I've done things like I've taken up challenges and just said, yes, I'll do it. And at the spur of the moment, like we did just to share with you, we did Ambi Valley. There was this thing about felicitating global sports personalities. So Chef Sanjeev Kapoor was curating this, and I was chosen to do the desserts. This is in the very initial stages. And I told them, I said, yeah, I'll do it. And at that time, I had just two or three people helping me. And
yes.
we were to go to this fancy kitchen. I didn't know what the kitchen was going to be like. So I made everything here.
Huh.
There were quantities like 400 eclairs, or,
Wow.
things like that. So there were going to be so many people, and
Ah,
start from morning walkers menu to breakfast to lunch to tea to dinner,
and your
everything. So,
audience would be international because it's a,
it
so
was all
you had the
international.
best of things across the world.
Yeah. So
So it's
that's the time I
super
just said I'd do it.
prestigious.
I'll do it. And when I landed there with this, with
Huh,
my little team, and I saw the humongous this thing task, I'd carried
huh,
all my ingredients because I didn't know whether I'll get them there.
huh.
So I managed to pull that off. Even also, there was a sit down lunch,
Hmm.
planned there for 100 people. We had to do the
Wow.
plated desserts. So all that we
Like that's
managed.
really tough to sit down to
I've
sort of
never done
do it.
outdoor
So
catering. So it was like,
it's really really tough, and I think the kitchen as well as service staff really
yeah,
suffers
yeah.
and often falters. I've seen in India.
Yeah.
So to
So
do
we had
100 people,
without any previous.
yeah. Um,
So those are interesting. I don't think you can do all this unless you have passion to
Yeah.
do.
And I think also the people, I mean, like I know the chef Sanjeev is a very, encouraging person or to like when you're working with him, he has your back. I
Yeah,
think he always chooses the right people also because, one's worked with him over time. I think
yeah.
that he's a wonderful person. I'll be meeting him this evening for the food restaurant
Okay.
awards.
Yeah.
And so I was very interested. I want to ask you about two things, two very different things. One is about you mentioned like a three people team, and how many people do you have working with you now? Because you've got
Now we
multiple.
have plenty. We have plenty. We are in each department. We have 7, 8 people. So there's a 3D department. There's a
Um,
finishing. There's a baking. So
hmm.
we have 8, 10 people in all the departments, and
So
all the kitchens have separate their own setup of
yeah,
five.
so one can say about 100.
I think it's looking like close to that. Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I want to say it is that brings this up is that when people start off as solo entrepreneurs or home chefs, initially it's themselves doing everything in any
Yes.
field as a this thing.
Yeah.
Then at some point you have to decide to bring in some people, which is an expense. You have to give control away. And then as you grow, and the only way to grow is of course this thing. So what have you learned about managing and getting the best out of your people? Like,
Yes, I have,
you
we
obviously
have
do.
a very good team now. We have
Huh.
a very good team. We are actually, that's the hardest part, to retain the good people. It's very easy to lose them.
Yeah.
So we have been very fortunate, and we work towards it actually. Keep them happy. Only money is not everything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to be about.
Happy.
Because money is a figure,
Yeah.
and there can always be someone who can up that figure with, so many
Yeah,
investors
yeah,
coming
yeah.
in and all that. How do people keep people happy and motivated?
We encourage them at all times. We are appreciative, very appreciative of the work they do. Then, like take their suggestions also. We cannot be right all times.
Yeah.
Then they will suggest to us that yes, you can do it this way, look better. So
Hmm.
you should not have that thing that no, what I'm saying is that's the way it has to go.
Yeah.
So that is very helpful because you're learning at every stage, every step. Even from them, you're learning. So I've always given them that, thing that, you suggest if this is
Hmm.
not working, tell me how else we can do it so that it's even better. So they appreciate that. And then there's not too much meddling unless there's something really goes wrong. I don't meddle too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let them do their stuff. If I find, yes, there's something which is not working, then I'm even ready to pull it off and remove it and make them do another one.
Hmm.
So that also they know. So
Hmm.
even for
Hmm.
even the desserts, if the finishing is not proper, I've even picked up cakes and thrown them away and tell them, do it again. It's
Hmm.
okay. There's no harm. I don't get annoyed with them. I just say it's all right. Anybody can
It
make a mistake.
happens, yeah. I remember you said a bit back, no, that you have to take touch up stuff because it
Yeah.
does. And so, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
and
it
sometimes
can
people
happen
get
to
messed
anybody.
up.
If I'm
Yeah,
baking today, I could make mistakes.
yeah.
It's not
Sometimes
something. Yeah.
might not be under control or.
So
Uh,
you have to be, sort of compassionate, I feel. Listen to their this thing. They have they must be having lot of home issues
yes,
happening, which
yes,
is sometimes something goes wrong. You
yeah.
have to understand them basically and try to sort of sort it out. They need financial help. We are always ready. So I
Hmm.
think all these things really matter.
True.
And my son Suchit, he likes to catch up with them, play games with them, go for football, this, that. So they're always looking forward to it. When are we doing it next? So all these things, I think this is what is
Yeah.
giving us and keeping this team. Otherwise, changes make a lot of there's a lot of harassment. There's
Yeah, because
always
then also we've done so much into training a person, and then you've got used to the system. And you're a completely family run, right? Your son Suchit, Sunil, and I think that those values of a family run family come into this. When people are working with you, I'm sure a lot of people who are coming in are like fairly young gen and coming in with new ideas. And in the 20 years which you've done. It would be fairly, I think, not wrong to say that the last 5 years have seen a lot of activity in the confectionery business in terms of new players, new skills, new type of desserts coming in, the new media being used, sort of people we're using social media very effectively and this thing. Some people who are trained in restaurants or hotels. So how do you sort of react and deal to that changing environment?
See, I'm really concerned about what guys are doing in my place. Even the 11 kitchens are spread all across Bombay. So I'm not going there personally like we have cameras and that's all okay.
Yeah.
But you get the feedback that every product has to be as it is in the main kitchen.
Yeah.
They are given instructions, they have photographs, the finishing has to be correct, exactly same. And touch wood, we've got no complaints. So the product has to be same from every outlet. That's the basic this thing. It cannot be different. So I keep a close watch on that. If there's any complaints, it's attended to right away. There can be because there's so many people working.
Of
So
course.
there's always a chance
It's
that
such a
something may
delicate sort of product, and it's also a
yeah.
high stakes. But
Yeah.
that is one part. But the other part is like what a lot of people feel. I also feel as a content creator and so many entrepreneurs that they often you feel a bit overwhelmed that there's so much happening out there. There's so much noise, things that people coming up, different products, awards.
I
And
don't
people feel a bit this, FOMO, as they say,
no,
fear
I
of
don't
missing
follow the trends. I
out.
don't follow. This is in trend. I must do it. I
Hmm.
don't do that. If it's not working for me, I don't do it. Like they
So,
have stuff like pull-up cakes and stuff
uh,
like that. I've not got into that. People ask me, "Do you do it?" I say, "No, I don't do it," because basically I like to stick to my conventional, classic stuff, which I'm good at doing. That's my forte, and I don't want to shift focus.
I really like that because the fact is that I was going to ask you that, that is, how do you sort of define or identify a Deliciae cake? But I think before I did that, you did that for me, that it's like a classic, cake. I mean, the sort of stuff which you've maybe seen in, classic Hollywood movies or Far Pavilions, that read about them. But, when you dream for that sort of stuff, or it's an occasion like that, you sort of get that. Great. So I think if got a thing of the inward part in terms of the processes, in terms of motivating the team, consistency, defining where you are. One of the last questions I had is dealing with clients, and you have a whole range of clients, from people who will be ordering, going through Swiggy or Zomato, looking at the list of things, coming across this thing, looking at this being interesting and ordering. A lot of people, first time people, might not know about Deliciae or Bunty. I mean, that's how it works. I mean, you just see it, versus people who know you, and then you've got corporates, and then you've got celebrities, so not just corporates. So how do you manage this? Like, is there a team which you set up for managing the clients, or
Yeah, we have a
and what
team.
are the challenges you face, and
Oh,
how do you?
I have a team. I used to earlier take all the orders. I was
Uh,
the one people wanted to talk to.
yes.
Slowly, we have shifted it to another person. He takes most of the orders, whatever he can manage to take. And what I feel I need to be involved, or
Yeah.
the client wants me to be involved, then I'm always there.
Hmm.
But he's able to manage that because, like, I'm in and out. If I'm traveling,
Yeah.
then nothing, work doesn't stop.
Hmm.
And if he's stuck up somewhere, then I'm always available. And if the client really wants me to be totally involved, then I'm totally involved. From taking the order to executing it. Even if I'm traveling, I make all the colors, which I know, I don't want any mistake.
Yeah.
So I make the colors and I prepare it all, the design and everything, so that they don't have any, if they can't reach me, they are stuck. So I'm able to manage that.
And how important is social media, leveraging social media, and do you do it, and how do you go about it? Do you as a brand, or you yourself?
My son is the one who looks at all that. I do my creatives. I only
You're
interesting.
the creative soul behind.
Yeah. So I
And
tell him, I said, you do all the rest. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, and he's very good at that. So I think it's
I think that's great. I mean, that's how, say, for example, partnerships and advertising work. I mean, you're the creative person and you have the
yeah.
business person. Okay,
Yeah.
one question which I wanted to ask towards the end is, you've now sort of expanded to Bangalore. You've opened a couple of
Yes,
stores
just
there.
4 months ago.
Huh.
Yeah, we've opened Bangalore, and of course, it's picking up.
Huh.
It's going to take a little while, but
Huh.
Zomato and Swiggy is picking up.
Huh.
Yeah. And we are going to do the same model that we do here, made fresh, made to order.
So
And,
it's all being made in Bangalore.
yeah. The
Yeah,
whole
because
kitchen has been set up in Bangalore, and a little cafe in front of that. And then also now we just 2 days ago we went live on another kitchen in another area.
in
So
Bangalore itself.
in Bangalore itself.
So
Yeah.
how's the challenge been in a different city? It's no longer your home ground. I mean, over here you have a certain equity.
Yeah, no, of course it's a challenge. We have to set up the brand there. We are working on it. And I think the product will speak for itself. People know of the brand. It's not that it's totally, they've heard of
of course. Yeah.
So I think the product will definitely speak for itself. We have to give it a little time, be a little more patient, I think, on that.
And what next for Deliciae?
What next? Oh, I would love to go to another city, but after settling Bangalore. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you, Bunty. Thanks for taking your time out, and please keep doing the great work which you're doing, because I think creating great sweet moments is, I think, one of the most noble things which one can do. Talking of sweet moments, you're also sort of saying that health is also going to be a
yes, we are going to come
be
up with that. Yeah, and shortly working on it. So we're coming up with sugar-free options. And we definitely need to look at that. So while settling all this, then now I think that is the next thing that I plan to do.
And Bombay Cakery is also your brand.
Bombay Cakery is our brand that we started because, there were people asking me for a Black Forest cake or a pineapple gato, which is not really available everywhere. Available, but the quality is So I got into those nostalgic chocolate stuff like that. That's how that brand came up. Okay. And a little more accessible to other people, and those who are aware of these names, these exotic, everybody don't know. So that's doing good. And and of course the quality for me, it has to be my type of quality. It's not if pineapple gato doesn't mean that it's just okay. Because my guys, when they started making it in front of me, and I was standing there and I was telling them, I said, they were putting pineapple. I said, listen, just go for it. Put. Saying, or dalna hai. I said, just put, I'll tell you when to stop. So they were looking at me, what is she doing? How much does she want to put in it? But that's my forte. All my fruit cakes are like that. So be it strawberries, be it mangoes, be it pineapple, Black Forest, anything.
Awesome. So folks, if you're in Mumbai or Bangalore or know people there and you want to order from there and have a sweet tooth, you know where to go. And then people in other cities, you never know when Bunty is going to come your way with some delicious treats. So thank you so much, Bunty. And have a wonderful festive season and a great start to 25. And we'll speak to you on further landmark anniversaries.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.